Night shifts are quiet, lonely, and deceptively still. They're the perfect time for fear to creep in, for shadows to play tricks on the mind, and for things better left undisturbed to make themselves known. Tonight, we bring you 4 true, chilling tales of what happens when the darkness takes over and the night becomes your worst nightmare. From strange visitors to unexplained phenomena, these stories are not for the faint of heart. So, dim the lights, lock your doors, and prepare to be haunted. Rebecca was no stranger to the graveyard shift at the boutique hotel where she worked. Perched at the edge of a small town, the hotel had its share of quiet nights. But one stormy evening, Rebecca was about to discover just how wrong the quiet could feel. The clock struck 1:13 a.m. when the phone at the front desk rang. Room 13, a man's voice said. It was deep and raspy, like someone who had smoked a pack a day for years. "I need extra towels." Rebecca frowned. Room 13 wasn't occupied. In fact, it hadn't been booked in years. The room had a reputation among staff, a reputation no one wanted to talk about, but protocols were protocols, so she grabbed a stack of towels and made her way upstairs. The hallway leading to room 13 was dimly lit, the carpet muffling her footsteps. As she reached the door, she hesitated. A faint noise, like whispers, came from inside. Taking a deep breath, she knocked. The door creaked open, revealing a man sitting in the middle of the room, his back to her. "Your towels," she said, her voice shaking. The man turned slowly. His face was pale, gaunt, and his eyes, black as night, bore into hers. "Stay," he whispered. Rebecca dropped the towels and bolted, her heart pounding. When she returned with security moments later, the room was empty. The towels lay neatly folded on the bed, but the man and the whispers were gone. She later learned that years ago, a guest in room 13 had taken his life under mysterious circumstances. Since then, late-night calls for towels and faint whispers had become a chilling tradition for those unlucky enough to work the night shift. Tom had been working nights at a massive distribution warehouse for a few months. The place was cavernous, with rows of shelves towering like skyscrapers and narrow aisles that seemed to stretch endlessly into the dark. One night, around 3 a.m., Tom was loading pallets when he noticed movement out of the corner of his eye. At first, he thought it was another worker, but when he turned, no one was there. Shrugging it off, he continued his task. Minutes later, a box fell from a high shelf, landing just inches from where he stood. He looked up but saw nothing unusual. "Must have been loose," he muttered, but a chilling sensation crept over him, as if he were being watched. Tom checked the security cameras. On the monitor, he saw something that made his stomach drop. A dark, shadowy figure moving between the shelves. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, and it seemed to flicker in and out of existence. Panicked, Tom called his supervisor, who reluctantly admitted that workers had reported strange occurrences in the warehouse for years. Some claimed to hear footsteps, others swore they'd seen shadowy figures like the one Tom described. Tom finished his shift but quit the next day. He couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was watching him in the dark. Sam was a city bus driver, working the late-night route through a quiet suburban area. His shift was uneventful, until it wasn't. At exactly 2:34 a.m., Sam pulled up to an empty bus stop, or so he thought. As he slowed to a stop, a figure appeared out of nowhere, stepping onto the bus. It was a woman in a long, tattered dress, her hair hanging in wet strands around her pale face. She didn't say a word, just sat in the seat directly behind Sam. The bus was empty, and her silence unnerved him. Sam watched her through the rearview mirror, but every time he glanced back, she seemed closer, though she never moved. At the next stop, Sam turned around to tell her she'd reached the end of the line, but the seat was empty. She was gone. Shaken, Sam drove back to the depot, where he checked the bus cameras. The footage sent chills down his spine. The woman had never boarded, yet there she was, clearly visible, sitting behind him, her lifeless eyes staring directly into the camera. Sam quit his job the following week, but the ghostly passenger remained a mystery. Emma worked the overnight shift at a 24-hour diner off a deserted highway. Most nights were uneventful, with the occasional trucker or late-night traveler stopping by for coffee and pie. But one night, something strange happened. Around 3:15 a.m., a man walked in wearing a suit that looked like it was from another era. He had a fedora tilted low over his face and carried an old leather briefcase. He sat in the corner booth, ordered a coffee, and stared out the window. Emma brought him his drink and tried to make small talk, but he said nothing. His silence was unnerving, but she left him alone. After her shift ended, Emma asked the morning waitress about the strange man. Her co-worker froze. "You saw him too?" she asked. It turned out every waitress on the night shift had seen the man at least once. He never spoke, never finished his coffee, and always disappeared before dawn. Rumor had it, decades ago, a salesman had died in a car crash just outside the diner. He'd been on his way to make a deal he never closed. Emma quit a few weeks later, but the man in the booth continued to haunt the diner's graveyard shift workers. And there you have it, 4 terrifying tales of what happens when the night takes over and the line between reality and the unknown blurs. Do you work the graveyard shift? Have you experienced something you can't explain? Share your stories in the comments below, and let's keep the chills going. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Haunting Chapters, and hit that notification notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, some things are better left in the dark.